So here's the truth. This isn't just about Vancouver Island versus the Rockies. It's about flexibility versus reservation stress. It is tight timing versus shuttle timing, and also long winding coastal roads versus strict mountain rules. And also about pivot anytime days versus dispatcher days, for example. On that front, also important to note, there's another Canada Strong Pass window in 2026 where you don't pay for the Strong Pass this year, so meaning less costs, but still logistics are gonna be the boss. I use a simple stress regret reducer scorecard, and the first one is reservation stress, second drive time deception, crowd control is the third one, time of the day versus timed entry, and the fourth is kid-friendly high payoff days. In this video, we are comparing hidden gems, how to use smart bases, and how to avoid ferry chaos and sold out shuttles. Let's talk about some of Vancouver Island's hidden gems, and the first one I want to highlight is the hole in the wall in Port Alberni, which I have in the Mind Trip overview here as well. And this is exactly what I mean with smart planning. Everyone crowds the obvious stuff. Meanwhile, Port Alberni has a quick forest walk, which I think is around 10 minutes away from Port Alberni. And you walk right into a place where you have a tunnel waterfall payoff, as you can see here on the picture right away. And what I would suggest here is get short out and back. It is not stroller friendly and you have limited pullouts, so be aware of that. And the best time would be in the morning where parking is getting tight later in the day. To get you an idea where it lays, I have in Google My Maps, I have highlighted the route. Let me see where it went. So there you go. I'm gonna turn off all the other routes here and I share that with you. Of course, you find it in the description below. Here you have the whole stretch. So from Victoria down here to Port Alberni, the hole in the wall, it would take you around 2 hours and 40 minutes to 50 minutes. And from Nanaimo, just 1 hour 10 to 1 hour 20. Reason why I'm saying that, if you plan to use either one of these places as your main base. Then the next thing on the list of the hidden gems is the top bridge in Parksville. It is the wow bridge without the tourist bus vibe, so which makes it also great as you don't have to share it with many other people. Some quick facts about the regional trail in Parkway is it's a riverside trail and has a suspension bridge, as you see here, with beautiful views. It is not stroller friendly, so keep that in mind. And it beats the crowds. Why and when? If you're gonna be there early in the morning or on warm weekends. And to get back to the directions, I'm certain I have it here as well. There you go. I have it here, directions from Nanaimo and from Victoria down here to Top Bridge. It would be around 2 hours from Victoria getting there, which is B, and from Nanaimo it's definitely closer, it's around 40 minutes. So next on the list is a rather special one, and this is the kind of experience that makes kids feel like explorers. And the reason is simply because you can literally walk to the island by yourself when there's a low tide. It's something I haven't done yet. I might be able to do it this year, and if you're wondering why, check out the video above about our 2 months trip to Canada. But the thing is, you need to think of the right timing if you go to Shack Island, because you need to be there when the tide is low. Otherwise, you can't walk over to the island all by yourself. You're gonna find Shack Island right in front of, that's actually wrong here. It's actually, let me see, up here in this area. So I had corrected it. It's actually in the Pipers Lagoon Park and is not here to Shack Island. It's right over here, and you get there at low tide like mentioned. It's in this area right over here, but that's going to be hell of an experience, and I'll try to time that to this year as well to give you some insights. Going on the list, the fourth point on the list, which is the Tofino alternative zone, meaning this is how locals probably would skip Tofino traffic. It is southwest of the island, has fewer crowds, and the planning is a bit different. And if we zoom out again, you find it also in the directions usually. That's the Tofino alternative zone. Depending where you set your base, either in Victoria or in Suki, you would find all these places along this route. And one of the things I would recommend doing is, for example, seeing the botanical beach, which I have added here too. It only works one way. You have to be there when the tide is low, because that is the attraction. According to BC Parks, the tide pools are best when there's low tide to 1.2 meters or less. Or gonna go to Sombrio Beach, that's closer, I think, to Port Bremview, if I'm not mistaken. If you scroll out, no, Botanical Beach is closer. Sombrio Beach is a bit farther. That's always what I mix up. And Sombrio Beach is part of the coast that can be tide affected. Plus also plan for storms in the Juan de Fuca area. Hope I said it correctly. And hence with that, I want to highlight, I mentioned that you need to plan in some buffer time in case there's a storm coming up. And then another solution or potential idea would be the Avatar Grove. As it is a gravel road to get there, drive slow and plan exactly according to that. So plan in more time, not what Google Maps is trying to show you, and expect a dusty car. So if that doesn't annoy you, then you're fine. But now we're gonna move on to the hidden gems in the Rockies. And they are further up in the list right over here. So the Rockies are an iconic place to be. And if you have never experienced it, it's gonna be a hell of a scenery. You're gonna be blown away. But don't plan it like a normal road trip. The truest bomb here is Moran Lake Road, for example, is close to personal vehicle during the year, and you need to book a shuttle tour to get there. And the second truest bomb here is Lake Louise parking slots can fill up very fast, so you need to be there at sunrise best to have it mostly for your own. So what can you do instead? So we're talking about Kananaskis, which is how locals do the Rockies. Less hype, but more space. And some of the tips I can give you when you go to Kananaskis is that it needs conservation pass, which is around $15 a day or $19 per vehicle per year, and is best during weekdays or early trailheads. Second on the list is Canmore, which is for most already probably the obvious choice. It's a great alternative to Banff to several reasons. It is equally quaint and has a similar scenery as Banff. It is a bit less crowded though, and on the other hand, it also offers a bit cheaper accommodation options than you would have in Banff. It takes only 20 minutes to arrive in Banff. For that, it makes it a perfect base, especially if you are a bit more worried about your budget. And then the next point would be Yoho and the Kootenay Rockies as an alternative to Banff, Lake Louise or Jasper. It has this border advantage, and many people won't even cross the province. They just stay in the Albertan area of the Rockies. But if you just cross the border, you can use it for your advantage because you have several options that you can use there. For example, if Lake Louise gets too crowded, you can visit Emerald Lake, which has still quite a few visitors, but definitely less crowds than you would have at Lake Louise. You neither have this shuttle restrictions as you would have with Moran Lake. There are other awesome things that you can visit, like Takawa Falls, which is one of the highest waterfalls in Canada, or visit Marble Canyon, which is especially beautiful if you like places like Moran Lake or Lake Louise. So that would be good alternative within the Kootenay Rockies. One thing you need to keep in mind though, if you cross the border from Alberta to BC, you have to dial back your watch for 1 hour. So when it is 7 p.m. in Alberta, it will be 6 p.m. in BC. So each time you travel back and forth, you need to adjust your time. Just to keep that in mind. And then fourth tip on these hidden gems in the Rockies is something that most often get overlooked. Most people, when they drive on the Icefields Parkway, which is, if we zoom out here on this map, you can see that is in this area here. You have it. It is better visible in here. Let me see. There you are. So we zoom out, and you have the whole stretch of the Icefields Parkway. So like I said, most just drive through the Icefields Parkway, but most often you're gonna miss out all the beautiful things and stops that you can do along the route. And I would advise to take this parkway rather like a day adventure trip, day trip, rather than just a drive through from one point to the other, and plan in some stops along the way. One thing that you need to keep in mind though is that there won't be any gas station from the Saskatchewan crossing to Jasper, so fill up your gas tank before you do the whole stretch. And one thing you need to know during winter is if you're doing shoulder season, Park Canada says you need snow tires or chains just in case of snowfall during the shoulder season. And I would highly advise to drive during daylight. So you need to take this into your planning of the trip. But things you can do and stops you can do along the route would be, for example, Mistaya Canyon, the Wilcox Trail, Parker Ridge Trail, or the Stanley Falls. So there are a few options. I also have more options if you would like to. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to have these other stops as well, or these lookouts. I have them in a separate map, similar Google My Map like that one, so that you won't miss anything out. Let's talk about crowd avoidance strategy and a breakdown, and talk about some of the challenges you have in either of these two destinations. So one of the Vancouver Island problems are ferry lines, summer long weekends, tight windows, and windy slow highways. With that I mean, when you plan a trip to Vancouver Island, you always have to plan in extra time if you need to jump on a ferry. For example, BC Ferries do recommend to plan in some extra time ahead, especially in busy periods like during summer. And if you have a booking, that's what I highly advise you to do, is to arrive there 40 to 60 minutes before the departure. This way you have planned in enough time, you don't have any stress. When you're at the ferry terminal, you might even be able to pick up a coffee. 3 things you need to remember: plan the time of the day, check the tide tables, and having a plan B. That's the perfect formula for Vancouver Island. Then let's talk about the Rocky problems or challenges. We have touched it several times before. At some places you need to book a shuttle service to get to certain lakes or places, but also these shuttles do book out very fast, and soon you can start booking, I think 2 days before the respective days, so you need to plan ahead. Then you have parking bottlenecks like at Lake Louise, so plan that in. And there are also some seasonal rules and restrictions, like for the Icefields Parkway during shoulder season, where you need to be prepared with the right tires and chains for your tires. For the shuttle services, just checked my notes again. They release a big chunk of the seats at 8 a.m. 2 days before. So write that down for you, that you're not going to be surprised. Regarding seasonal restrictions, also not solely for the Icefields Parkway, but also for the Bow Valley Parkway, there's some seasonal vehicle restrictions. So check the dates beforehand if you plan to see Johnson Canyon. And if to summarize that, I would say the Rockies reward you with precision and the Islands rewards you with flexibility. And now if you need to decide which one is better or which one fits better for our needs, I would say it this way. What would be the best for you? If you hate rigid schedules, travel with kids, and prefer variety, then Vancouver Island definitely wins. On the other hand, if you want to have this iconic mountain density, the scenic views of the mountains, and don't mind time entries and longer travel times and also love this alpine drama, then definitely the Rockies are the winner here. But the real mistake isn't about choosing wrong or the wrong places. It is about planning the correct way. And if you want to have the exact tools I use and want to validate them by your own and want to find places and other ideas how to avoid tourist traps, then I have linked them below for you, and also my Mind Trip profile if you're interested in, and also my Western Canada travel kit that should help you planning easier, faster, and more efficient without spending nights with open tabs or thousands of tabs to make your life easier.